Welcome friends to the newest edition of Seahawkers What If, the most unique Seahawks preview show on the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner, and I'm joined by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz. And of course, we could not traverse the Seahawks multiverse without the protector of that multiverse, and that is Mr. Phil Leidick down there. Hope you're watching it on youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. The likes, the subscribes, drop the comments, do all those things. And boys, have you guys ever seen the movie Tin Cup? Phil, Adam brings it up a lot. Have you ever seen the movie Tin Cup?
Maybe when I was little. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Kevin Costner, golfer.
No,
Brandon.
I've not seen it. I've seen the packaging on the movie at the rental store when they used to have places where you could go look at DVDs off the shelf, and I maybe almost picked it up but did not.
Gotcha.
Oh my gosh! I was just in North Idaho, and at a grocery store, and they still had like the old timey DVD section of the store.
Shelves,
I think you could actually rent movies there still.
Yeah, I've been to North Idaho a lot. I used to rent movies in Kalispell all the time at the gas station, kind of like on Idaho Road. Yeah.
I've rented movies at gas stations, but they're probably not for this podcast. But that's a-okay. So, the whole idea of bringing up Tin Cup, of course, is the iconic scene where he just keeps trying to make the shot and keeps flailing at making that shot. And I think a lot of Seahawks fans are feeling that way, that like, hey, we keep trying the same stuff, but we're getting similar bad results. And now we got to play a team in the Rams that are a little hot. You know, they get a big win on the road Thursday night. They get some of their horses back. Stafford's looking like young and spree Matthew Stafford, and we're not. We're feeling like we're going in the opposite direction. 4 out of 5 of the last 4 lost out of the last 5 games, and now we've got them coming to the PNW. We don't feel like we have even a home field advantage. So I'm feeling disoriented about our team in this year in 2024. I know we'll talk about it, but Phil, overall, how are you feeling about the Seahawks 8 games in?
Well, kind of like I feel about my golf game. I didn't need to watch Tin Cup apparently, because all I had to do is record myself playing golf and keep not doing the thing I'm trying to do. Isn't that what golf is? At least it is for me. How am I feeling about the Seahawks? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things I like, but the things that I don't like, I don't know if you can overcome them. Being horrible in the run game on both sides of the ball makes it tough to get excited. Maybe we'll talk about how you guys think that there's a chance of us overcoming that, but that makes it rough. There's all the things I want to enjoy. I'm starting to get frustrated with Mr. Snyder not getting us an offensive line for most of his career. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Understandable. Brandon, do you need an offensive line, or maybe or ability to stop the run to win in the NFL? I mean, I feel maybe, but what's your hot take?
I feel like it's part of it, and I mean, I've expressed my frustration with Judge Snyder ever since we drafted D. Eskridge over Creed Humphrey. But
that's just one mark, but it's a big one.
Yeah,
and
it is.
This offseason when we let Dame Lou walk, so that it is a consistent theme. Although I know what he's trying to do, I know what he's trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So.
Kind of like me when I play golf. He keeps trying.
It's a lot like when I watch Phil play golf.
Yes.
Yep. He knows what he wants to do, but yet he ends up in the thistle quite a bit. All right. Well then, Mr. Phil, let's hand this over to you. You, of course, for those that don't know, What If, Seahawkers What If, you craft a masterful theme each and every week. And then we look at this game, we preview the game, but through the unique lens of 6 questions and categories. And the cool part is Brandon and I have no idea what you're going to fire at us. So we're answering live as we go, just going into our Hawkra and our knowledge. And honestly, Phil, every single week, I just think you bring such a cool craft to this. So where are we going? And, what brought you to this theme this week?
Well, we'll see what you think about the theme after we get it going this week, Clinton, because the theme kind of came in our after talk from the show. I think it was last week or the week before. All of a sudden, many things came clear to me when I found out one of our hosts has this disturbing, stubborn mindset where he's absolutely determined to not get the one type of good phone that any sane human would ever use. Now I know why all my texts have trouble. Now I know why his camera is always giving himself problems. Now I know why he's constantly frustrated with a variety of things involving phones, because he won't use the one kind of phone that the great American company led by the great Steve Jobs held up, that we were all looking forward to for years. Finally, there is something that you could text. There is something that would have its iPod. There was something that you could do the internet and call all on the same device. And when he held it up, it was an iPhone, and it was what we were all looking forward to. And yet, one of our good friends and normally brilliant Clinton Bonner refuses to own one, leading to a life of frustration. So what if we talk about phones, gentlemen? Our category, phones, smartphones, battery life, navigation. You need a signal, applications, and then one of the most important things that was added that all phones needed, and we didn't even know it, podcasts. This week, week 9, we will start with Brandon. Which category are we going to first?
Yeah, this is a great topic to not only reminisce about the importance of the first iPhone, but to also maybe prod Clinton along just a little bit. And
Yes.
the thing that I love about these choices is there's podcast available as the first one, with Apple developing the actual first podcast app that allowed us to listen to so many shows on one device. And I remember Clinton showing me his iPod Nano, his iPod Shuffle, but yet he never made the move to iPhone. And even as a podcaster, it's a little bit perplexing. So let's start with podcast.
Okay, let's start with podcast. Mr. Brandon, there is that podcast app right there. What if you were on a podcast, Brandon, and could tell your listeners about the Rams? Who concerns you most from this Rams team? Just imagine if for, 12, 13, 14 years, you happened to host some podcasts and you could talk to people. How would you warn them?
Well, our flagship episode number 448 is out on Thursday, and my co-host and good buddy Adam Emmert brought up one name in particular, and that is Puka Kupp. And
okay, I can see that.
Yeah. Let me tell you about this Puka Kupp character who, despite a Ravens defense that was very good last year, coached by defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald, Puka Kupp managed over 200 offensive yards against this Ravens defense. Ugh. And now that head coach is the coach of our football team. And I'm hoping that he can shut down those same two guys, who happen to be healthy at just the right time, helped the Rams beat the Vikings on Thursday Night Football and have similar success against that Vikings defense. And so I'm concerned about Puka Kupp, Phil, and what he could do to this Seahawks defense. And I don't know if we can stop him.
All right, Clinton. Other than Cooper Nakua, who else concerns you? If you happen to be on a podcast, what would you tell your listeners about the Rams concerning players?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I would say, look, what I do with my BlackBerry World Edition is my business and when I'm done with this, I'm going to go play Snake for a good 45 minutes. Then the battery will die. But hey,
then you charge it and then you play Brick Breaker until it dies again.
Which is a lot like Arkanoid back in the day, which is really
Breaker,
fun.
Now that is a good time.
Yeah, it had the roller ball and the tactile text thing, which I kind of enjoyed a lot. So, but I love this. Is a great. I love a good ribbing, and and why not already? I think it's hilarious. All right. So, as much as we all, of course, know the two-headed monster of Puka Kupp, I have another two-headed monster that actually concerns me. I won't say more, but one that might be surprising. And here's the deal, folks. If I were to say the names Bo Limmer and Justin Dedick or Dedick, you might. Do you guys know who they are? Just it's okay if you don't.
They're in that Tin Cup movie, aren't they?
Yes, they're my only two contacts left in my BlackBerry World Edition. Good guys. So who they are? They are a 6th round starting center for the Rams and a UDFA left guard who's taken over at left guard.
You're killing me, man.
I'm killing a couple things here, right? So the Rams could come out with a 6th round center and a UDFA guard in place and by the way, they're backing up dudes who are big free agent signings like Jonah Jackson. They have depth there, suddenly have depth there, and they could go face a Minnesota Vikings team, albeit on a short week. And Minnesota, and I get all that. I understand all these things. Minnesota was averaging 5 to 6 sacks per game, and a complete clean sheet for Matthew Stafford. In a short week with reserve players picked in the 6th round in a UDFA with a blitz heavy getting to the quarterback, Flores-led Vikings D that's having a ton of success. 0 sacks, clean sheet, not even getting Stafford's uniform dirty. Boys, I'll just stop there. That worries and frustrates the crap out of me for several reasons. But no one's going to be talking about those guys, but we're going to do it on What If.
Yeah. Good call outs. I'm very frustrated in their ability to always put together an offensive line, and our GM's tried it for his entire time here.
Yep.
I mean, coaching has something to do with that too. It's not just getting, and we've seen other teams that even with mid-round draft picks, they're able and free agency able to put together an offensive line. So it's not even necessarily spending high draft capital.
No, that's the
spots.
point. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I think you're right too about, coaching plays a role, scheme plays a role, the GM plays a role. Either way, we struggle there. So frustration bubbling over that they could somehow pull 2 dudes out of their hat and stop a very good sack heavy defense.
Yeah.
Bizarre to me, but the reality. Okay.
Clinton, you get to make a choice. Now, I'm a little nervous because I know when it involves phones, your decision-making kind of gets a little different. But
that's okay.
We do have some options here for you to pick from. Where are we going next?
Well, I enjoy the Google ecosystem, and that's why I'm on Android, in addition to my World Edition, of course. And that's why I like having choice. I like having variety, and I could switch. I could go to Samsung. I could go get a Pixel and check them out. So anyway, I like that. But I'm in the Google ecosystem, and one of the things I enjoy more about it is their navigation. They own that. That's their data. Let's go navigation. Google Map this thing.
All right, Clinton. What if you predict McVay's game plan this week? How can we best navigate a path to success against the Rams doing Rams things? First, what do you expect them to do? How can we succeed against it?
Yeah, this is the most predictable. This is like me going to my local Dairy Queen. I don't even need to plug into navigation. I probably will because I'm a scaredy cat in some ways. But like, oh my gosh, what if there's a detour down busy old Route 1 in my 7,000 person town? There won't be. But I know how to get to Dairy Queen, and I know what I'm going to order when I get to Dairy Queen. I know how satisfied I'm going to be when I get that vanilla with the peanut butter syrup and the hot fudge and maybe some Reese's cups on top, because that's just banging across the board.
Now I want to do a Dairy Queen episode.
Sure.
Peanut butter parfait and some of the greats.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. Turn the blizzard upside down. If it floats, then you're in good shape there, right?
They don't do the curly Q on the dilly bar anymore, which is a disappointing thing.
That's a dumb trend. Why would they change that? Why, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay. Speaking of that, that's a great segue. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. McVay's going to do what they do. We're going to get a extremely heavy dose of Kyler Williams. I mean, it's just, that's in this. I know that's chalk and fine. That's what they're going to do. They're going to get under center. They're going to body move us, and they're going to give Williams, 24 carries, spell with a few other people. They're going to do quick hitters to Puka and Kupp. They'll try and stretch the field a few times with Tutu to keep it honest. They'll hit Parkinson a few times over the middle because we can't cover the middle of the field. In general, they're going to run a similar offense to what Buffalo did to us. They'll be under center more, and they are going to control long drives, and I'm not sure there's much we can do about it right now. So I realize the second part is how do we navigate a successful path versus that. One thing I brought up I think it was the post-game show, Brandon, I brought up with you, on 3 and 3 out, is that there is a little known secret that just is not discussed enough, that the 2023 Ravens, who everybody holds up as this bastion of great NFL defense, and in many ways it was, in the second half of the season, they were like second to last or dead last in run defense. In the second half of 2023, it was masked by things: turnovers, timely sacks, Lamar going bananas, putting teams away early. It was masked by those things. The stats are the stats. So are we going to change stripes and change scheme and not make our linebackers make gap decisions and change the philosophy of how we maybe attack upfield with our D linemen, a la the Niners, a la the Jets? No, I don't think we're going to change that in a week. I don't expect different results. I don't have a magic. I don't have magic beans for this one, Phil. I do not expect a different result.
Brandon, if they're going to get under center a lot, can we have their center step on Matt Stafford?
That's a great question.
Yeah, can we trade Connor Williams to the Rams this week and somehow smash their chances of winning via that trade? I don't know if Schneider can make that happen.
That's funny.
Clinton is pretty close on this one as far as what to predict versus the Rams. I think the only thing he got off was Kyren Williams' name and called him Kyler, but
Kyren, my bad. Yep,
I missed that. That's pretty good.
I did at least once a week. I have at least those flubs.
Combine some names, like
so. Kylo Williams is going to be really, really solid this
and
week.
Cooper Helfet is not in this game.
No, although super handsome. I think that one of the things, and Clinton hinted on this a little bit, is that they play similarly to Buffalo. And one of the things we see a lot of and got beat by a lot of with the Bills were the quick passes out to the edges. And that's one of the things that is featured strongly in this Rams offense. It's one of the reasons why both Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford can keep so clean generally throughout a game. They don't get hit a lot because a lot of times they're just throwing quick outs to their receivers. And I don't know why we don't maybe play up on it a little bit more, because we missed a lot of tackles trying to crash in on those throws, and they beat one guy and all of a sudden they're picking up first downs. So, one of the reasons why Buffalo had success with that this past week. It's one of the reasons why I think if we don't shift, play closer to the line of scrimmage, both at corner and also at linebacker to stop Williams in the run game, I don't expect us to have more success this week without that change.
One challenge with Stafford that's a little bit like Brady, he does get rid of the ball quick, but he can do it two ways. He can do the laser quick, but he also has that loft pass where you're still getting rid of the ball early, but you know where your receiver is going to be enough time to send the ball up in the air and have it come down to them. And that can get you when he identifies that you're playing tight. So we have to keep Stafford's a little more savvy than Josh, I think, in a couple ways. Clinton, you were trying to add something to that?
Yeah, I just want to, I think, add to Brandon's point about the quick outside, the kind of horizontal game that we're going to see. And the thing I want to add too is like, look, we saw that, and I realize it's week one. I realize it's Bo Nix. I get all that, but we saw, and I think it was more predictable, but we also, the beginning of the year, something we could do, we rallied to the ball with incredible, if you remember the first couple of weeks, like week 1, week 2, I know it's worse offenses. I get that, but whatever, like we rallied to the ball on the edges with speed, and we tackled well, and we gang tackled really well. Like, can we just get that back? Because that's at least a path to mitigate what they're going to try and do horizontally. We've seen it. We just need to resurrect that.
And the Falcon game did happen, and they turned around and played good again the week after us. I think they just
you're right. They went. You're correct, man. Good point.
The thing was they kind of stopped their own run game by not calling runs, and that was helpful. All right, Brandon, we get to go to another category here. Where would you like?
Yeah, I like how this has turned into a roast of Clinton, and considering his phone choices, I'm surprised well, not surprised that smart is still available.
Brandon, what if there's one thing we can do smarter in the run game? We've been talking a little bit about the pass game. What would you suggest we could do something just a little bit smarter? Clinton sounded like there's nothing we can do, but maybe you thought of something.
Yeah, I go back to on defense in the run game. I think just playing closer to the line of scrimmage, especially on early downs, having maybe having Byron Murphy in there on the early downs isn't necessarily the smartest thing. Maybe it's having Jaron Reed and Jonathan Hankins, two big dudes really plugging up the middle and taking that away, because I feel like the middle of the defense has been wide open to get those 5-6 yard gains on first and second down, which really and you hear Mike Macdonald complaining about how they can't get to what they want to do on third and obvious passing downs. And that's because they're giving up so much on first and second down. So
right.
You got to play closer to the line of scrimmage. You got to tighten up the middle. You got to play bigger dudes that aren't going to move. And that's what I'd like to see.
Clinton, I guess this question also invites for on offensive side of the ball. So I'm thinking maybe you could take us there, since I know you feel like we're hopeless on defense against the run. Are there some things we can do smarter on offense in the run game?
Yes, and thank you for giving me permission to do that. I was going to do it anyway, but because I was like, the question just says,
and it was that way. I forgot when I first read it that's what I intended when I wrote it. But
yeah, it's all good, because we were kind of trending that way, right? That's what we were talking about. So I get it. So yeah, I think there are, and one thing that there's a couple things, right? The first thing that we've talked about a bit, and it's been drained by a lot of folks at this point, like, last week, especially with Brady calling it out, is can we get under center a bit more? Can we try it? Can we get under center? Can we do more play action to loosen things up and try that? We have 12% play action pass, and just, that's one thing. It's just more volume from under center. Whether it works or not, I believe there's benefit to doing it, so that when you do pull one back and you do have play action, it still sucks in the linebackers, and you might have a couple of cracks that are not there. So that's one. Another thing I think I'd really like to see us try, which is you don't see much of from this team right now, just what about the good old fashioned toss sweep with Ken Walker? If we're going to, it's like in baseball, if you're going to lose with your best pitcher throwing his best pitch. And if a guy cranks one, 17 rows back, and you lose that way, you kind of tip your cap. It's okay. If we're trying to be a finesse team and we have some more finesse blockers that are the dancing bears that are able to get into space and still hold the block, Charles Cross comes to mind, the left-hand side, maybe just a few toss sweep left with a crackback block from like AJ Barnes of the world. Let's see some variety, seeing the kind of draw, the delay, or what's meant to be.
AJ Barner is going to cause if we do a toss sweep? We're going to hear from whoever the name of the referee is for this.
Well, yeah, that you're not wrong, because the more if you return a punt in the NFL, or you try to go to the edges, you are welcoming flags, right? Even if the player does nothing wrong. AJ Barner was flagged for one recently, right? Yeah. So, but that's it, Phil. I think just a little bit more variety, and getting out of the shotgun run that has become so predictable and does not. It's working sometimes when the cutback lanes are there, because that's what K9's really, really good at. Cool. Last week there were 0 cutback lanes. No one was fooled, and it didn't work at all. So variety and under center more. How's that?
I love it. We were trying, like the first couple drives, it seemed like Geno was faking the handoff a lot more than I'm used to seeing, but it didn't seem like anybody was buying it.
They were lining up in pistol too, a little bit more.
They did some pistol.
With lining up in shotgun and having K9 coming in from behind Geno, getting downhill a little bit more. But they used the formation, but they didn't use the actual handoff as
right.
When we did run, somebody always messed up. Like, it felt like we just couldn't get all the blockers to do their job on the same play.
And the Bills were really good at open field tackling. And when K9 would bounce it outside, he had several plays where if he just makes one dude miss, and usually he does make that dude miss.
Yeah.
And to point out against the Rams, missed tackles. I've seen their ends miss more tackles, I think, than the Buffalo ends.
I like that. I like the fact that we can get back to having them missing tackles.
Yes.
Clinton, where are we going next? We got 3 choices left on your smartphone.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, let's just go with you need a strong signal to do anything in life here. That is your infrastructure. Let's go there.
Signal. When you think signal, I think signal callers. Clinton, what if we talk signal callers? What do you hope to see the Hawks do specifically against Stafford? And what do you need to see from Geno, Clinton?
I'll start with the Geno part first, and I'll kind of flow into the other one, or I'll just hand it to Brandon because I might not have an answer. But the thing of a need to see from Geno is it's a need to see from Geno, and I'll parlay that with the desire to see this from Grubb. What I thought Grubb was very strong at, looking at his tape and just his pedigree and the things that we could go look at, was his ability to understand weaknesses and exploit the crap out of them. Like, he was good at that. And, led some people to say, okay, well, he had 3 wide receivers in college and he spread it out and that's what he's going to go do here. Or no, he's going to find the NFL weaknesses and exploit them because he's that type of coach. And he did a mix, I think, at UW for sure. The Rams, if you're looking at a weakness, it is not their reloaded front 4. Jared Verse is good. He's probably in line for defensive rookie of the year. And the dudes last year that were there as well, what is it? Turner. I'm just looking at the names real quick. Kobe Turner, Byron Young. There was this, when Aaron goes away, the best defensive tackle of all time, that these guys will take a step back. And maybe some ways they have, but they have replenished that. So this is a good front line. And again, Verse is playing really good football. He's a monster out there. Their linebackers are not very good. They're exploitable. They're gettable. So to parlay that back with the last answer, under center a bit more, definitely a heavier dosage of play action, and then Geno taking the stuff right over the linebacker or attacking the linebackers. That's my part for Geno. I may even acquiesce the Stafford part, not to say, Brandon, you only got to go there, but I've said enough, I think, if that's okay with y'all.
Yeah, it wasn't working against the Bills. When Geno took the easy pass, they were tackled immediately.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm hoping you're combining, you're seeing something good here that we can exploit against the Rams. Brandon, where do you want to go with this? There's all kinds of options, obviously.
I'll go with Geno just because I need to see a 0 interception game from Geno. It can't. It's tough enough trying to score points when you are constantly giving up points on defense and feeling that need to outscore another team. And the fact that they were able to put up 34 points on Atlanta, I think we're going to need a similar offensive output. And one of the things Geno did in that game is, he didn't even have to throw it more than 30 times, which was a bit nice. And he gave up 0 interceptions. So I think he's got to he's got to have a clean game for the Seahawks to win.
Yeah. Do we know about DK, like the odds of him playing?
I saw this morning, still questionable. Did not practice yesterday, which is only Wednesday. I think he's trending towards he'll be back on the field. I realize we have a bye week next week, so there might be that, just keep him out one more week thing. I also, my inclination or my spidey sense says Macdonald knows what's up. And he's at 4-4 at a tipping point for the season that if you go 5-4 and you're in first place going into your bye, no matter how you got there, those are the facts.
Yeah.
And that, and all of a sudden the Rams are 3-5, right? Because they've only played 7 games before this game. So that's my gut, Phil, but that's nothing more than just that. But I did want to ask you real quick, Phil, you put Stafford on there. Is there anything in your brain when you wrote the question that you were hoping to spur? Like what do you see that you think we might be able to do to Stafford to shake things up?
Well, for Stafford, you have to play right. I mean, you can't, he's going to find what you're doing wrong and take advantage, and he'll figure it out very quickly. So we got to be on our game with the guys doing the thing they're supposed to do. And we really need to up our trust in our teammates doing the thing that they're supposed to do. Trying to cover for one another, Stafford will kill us because he'll see, hey, this guy is not being disciplined in his gap, so he'll call it run play there. This guy's not being disciplined in his zone. He'll throw the ball there. And you combine him with Cooper, who's one of the, brilliant, crafty receivers out there. They will kill us if we don't do what's right. I don't need against Stafford is a bunch of flash. What I don't need against Stafford is someone being a hero. I need everybody to do their thing and do it right.
Yeah, I love that. Consistently doing the job so that we eliminate the easy stuff. And then later you end up probably eliminating explosives too, because he will find them once he loosens you up. So love that, Phil. Good stuff.
All right. So we go to Brandon. We have battery life and apps.
All right. Let's finish with battery life. So let's go to application now.
Application it is. What if there's one thing you hope our Hawks can apply in this matchup based on all we've learned so far? We've learned about things we're good at. We've learned about deficiencies. Are there things that our talent should be able to apply and you hope to see it within this particular matchup against the Rams that we know oh so well?
Yeah, despite the fact that Stafford is really good at getting rid of it quickly, finding those places, I do think that we need to get back to getting some kind of pressure. Sure. And even when, in this last game, it was a limited amount of pressure on Josh Allen, but there was enough. There was enough that he put the ball on the ground 2 times. And one of them, unfortunately, got called back due to penalty. The other one, unfortunately, got kicked to another player for a first down. But they did get that kind of pressure on him that helped that happen. They got enough pressure on him that it led him to throw it to Josh Jobe. And so I think that if you can get just enough pressure on Stafford, he can make similar types of mistakes. And it's those types of things that we've got to capitalize on. And after not doing it against the Bills last week, I'm hoping that the turnover luck flips back in our favor and we're able to do that against the Rams because we're going to need it to win.
Yeah. And let's be real. The Rams are not as good as the Bills. I mean, they got a lot of things right. They got a brilliant coach. They got smart quarterback. They're not as good as the Bills. They're not as everywhere solid and talented as the Bills. I mean, do you guys disagree with that?
I mean, Stafford is 90% of Josh Allen, I feel like, when he's on his game. The 2 receivers are better than the receivers that Buffalo has. The offensive line, probably a step down, which is where I think that our pass rush can defeat that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then their running game, I do like Cook more than Williams, but it's not too dissimilar. Yeah. I think Buffalo's defense is superior, so sure. It's just more of the style of offense between the Rams and the Bills. It's so similar that it concerns me.
Okay. Based on all we've learned so far, what do you hope our talent can actually apply to the field this matchup, Clinton?
Yeah. One of the things that I've seen I watch a lot of football, right? So it's not just Seahawks stuff. And I've got other games on. I got my eyes on them. I watch the Sunday night. I'll watch the Monday night. I like consuming the product as much as I complain about the refs and stuff like that, like everybody else. One of the things that I see week in, week out, and it's happened to us quite a number of times, especially earlier in the year, is other teams' ability to make you start a drive within your own 5-yard line, to get those exceptional punt coverage schemes going, to have the guy get there at the goal line, the ball bounces right to him and his heels are almost brushing the goal line, but they're not. And they're starting a drive at closer to the 0 than the 1. And we saw some great things last week. In fact, I was able to give an in to our Aussie punter, Dixon. He boomed the ball. He had an excellent game.
Yes. And
I don't look at that as I'm not saying it in I don't do it in jest, like, oh, we stunk, therefore I'm going to talk about our punting. It's like, no, our punting actually flipped the field a couple of times. We were not able to capitalize on that, but he did the thing. I want to see a continuation of that. He's been a all-pro and Pro Bowler, but he has been less than this year. This is the type of game to me where if you could get them starting a drive or two within the 5-yard line, you tick a couple more percentages towards your side of the ledger that you could win that game. You got to go execute after that. But if you combine what Brandon's saying, you heat them up a little bit, and they're starting there, maybe you get that interception at the 10-yard line. Maybe you get that fumble. Maybe you get a safety. Maybe they're punting from the back of the end zone. You return it to their 30. I know it might seem acute, but I think it can actually have a really big difference in a game like this where I think we're outmanned when it comes to scheme, coaching, and then in the trenches.
Yeah, you got to take advantage. You got to take advantage of things that work. That definitely didn't happen in the Bills game.
Yeah.
Last
All right.
one is battery life.
Sweet.
Is battery life. So that's where we will go for Clinton. What if some players can get recharged for this divisional matchup? Who do you expect to bring the juice this week? I don't know about you. I didn't see a lot of juice from a lot of our guys last week. Maybe that was just my feeling sitting there. Maybe it was me being discouraged, but I felt like they had a little bit of discouragement. Did you guys sense that at all? Was it?
Yeah.
Can we bring the positive juice to this game? Who do you hope can guide with that, Clinton?
Yeah, I think Brandon might know where I'm going. You know, I spent a good couple of minutes calling a player out on a touchdown for the Bills where I was like, where's that effort? Like, it's a 7-3 ball game with 20 something ticks to go in the first half. And that's the effort you're giving. And that's Tariq Woolen. And it was, for me, it was a poor showing on that play. I think he did other things really well against Keon Coleman, and the touchdown's a touchdown. You tip your cap. That's a beautiful ball and a beautiful catch. When we are creating to get that juice, he's not going to be the dude who comes up and gets like the Witherspoon type hit. That'd be nice. But there were times in, year 1 and year 2 where he does jump the route and he comes out of nowhere, picks something off, tips a ball, just, makes a great DPI. Okay. Like Tariq is still a very good coverage corner. They're going to test it. They will work the middle of the field also. Yeah. They don't care. They're like, okay, Tariq Woolen, whatever. Good. It's Puka versus or Kupp, whatever. Yeah. Good luck. That's what I'm looking for is like, can we get a big play from Tariq that gives us that spark, man? So that'd be fun.
Oh, and Stafford absolutely will give you a shot because he's such an anticipatory player. Most of the time he's right, but he can be wrong a couple times. If Tariq picks that moment, you can absolutely pick off Stafford balls as good as any thrower in football. He gives you ones that you can take. I love that. Brandon, how about you? Who do you expect to bring the juice this week?
I would expect Kenneth Walker to bring the juice this week because he should have plenty of battery charged up after not being used as much over these last 4 weeks. He's had since the Detroit game where, he only rushed 12 times, but he did hit the 80-yard mark. He has rushed 5 times, 14 times for 32 yards, 14 times for 69 yards, and 9 times for 12 yards. I'd like to see a heavy dose of K9 getting up into those double digits early on in this game. Double digits first half. I'd like to see that. And I think that he has had, and I think the reason why they would go to him is because this Rams defensive line, yes, they've done pretty well at getting pressure. They haven't got home a lot in terms of sacks, but I also think that missed tackles part is something you can exploit too. And the fact that Clinton was pointing out the weakness and the deficiency in linebacker for the Rams, they've never seen it's never seemed to bother them so much in the past either. But I like our K9 versus that group of players a lot more. And so let's juice them up.
Yeah, love it. Let's use his whole battery. I'm a guy that always keeps my phone in the top 50%. Just leave it on the charger. Let's not do that with K9. Let's use everything he's got in this.
It's going into a bye week. Let's use it up.
Yeah, that's the time for it. Love that call. Okay, well, This is probably my fault. I was used to everybody in the Discord starting to throw their wishes in the wishing well. Maybe because we're just getting so few wishes coming true right now that nobody wants to try my wishing well. It's been failing people. But we did not have any flockers in the wishing well. Now I didn't remind anybody, so I'll take the blame this time. But we tend to do our show Thursday morning, so you get your wishes anytime in those 3 days, and we'll have them read. I think that's the first time that's ever happened, so I'll take the blame on that one. Sad, blank, nothing in the wishing well.
They need
But
a reminder, Phil. That's how it is. We have to remind them to get their picks in the Pick'em League, and yeah, ins and outs maybe not so much because I feel like a lot of people do that live.
just during the show, you're just doing ins and outs. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So we need to hear your what if Superhawks. Let's see. Last week, we were hoping for 4 receptions and 55 yards from Fant. Not quite for Clinton. And then
Womp womp.
Brandon had one that seemed really feasible, either 2 sacks from the team or a sack fumble from Murphy. And so close in a lot of ways. We just didn't quite get there on those. What's your what if Superhawk this week, Brandon?
My what if Superhawk this week, it's going to be DK Metcalf coming back, helping us get this win over the Rams. And he's going to do it with at least 4 catches for 60 yards.
4 catches, 60 yards. Okay, well, that seems totally feasible. We know if he's there, Grubb wants to use him. So
True.
How about you, Clinton?
Yeah. So my wish, my what if Superhawk. I love a good redemption arc. I love when Jaron Reed got in the face of Derek Hall last week and chewed him out right on, basically national TV
Love
for everybody to see. I think it was the right thing to do, and I want to see Hall respond. So I'm going to go with he's got 5 sacks on the year, so I'll keep it just simple and not box myself in as I usually do.
Yeah.
Just a full sack. Could be 2 half sacks, right? 2 half sacks count.
But we'll take 2 half sacks.
2 halves count. Might even be better for us.
I like
but
that better.
At
actually,
least, it might be better, right? But at least 1 full sack when it's all said and done from Derek Hall, getting him to 6 on the year. That'd be fun. It'd be nice if it's timely. I'm not going to say it's got to be, but that's it, dude. Just a Derek Hall retribution arc to show message received, and I'm back in this with y'all.
Love it. Maybe I should have gone with the revenge arc with Ernest Jones.
A bajillion tackles.
Former team, yeah.
That could have been cool. I don't know if I want a bajillion tackles. I'd rather have big plays than, linebackers making. I don't know. I guess if anybody's making a tackle, Ernest Jones making them. It just tackles. Yeah. We didn't have 1 tackle for loss the whole game.
That's the problem.
Mind blowing. No tackles for loss. I would take 1 tackle for loss this game. Maybe make me feel just a little bit better. I can't believe that happened. All right.
I can.
Yeah. But I would rather have a lot of half sacks. The full sacks are the most fun to watch. The one guy destroys the quarterback. But when you're getting half sacks, what that means is the whole team's getting there, or it means the team's covering well. That's a good thing. Well, Clinton is scratching his way back to to catch up with Brandon. He did it by barely picking the Hawks to win by less than what Brandon had picked the Hawks to win by. This week, Brandon has to go first to give Clinton a crack at sneaking back even closer, possibly.
All right. Well, I do have a bead on where Clinton is kind of feeling out this game and where he might go. I'm similar though. I like to predict wins. Although, gosh, it is hard. It's really tough to try and predict a win against this Rams team that has seemed to have our number over the years and has even.
Can Lumen Field finally be good this year, or do we need to rename it back to when it was good?
That might be part of it. I think that after having that experience last week, it fires up our team to come back, get this win against the Rams. I don't know necessarily how they do it, if we need another missed field goal in the last seconds like we did the last time that we beat the Rams at home, but maybe that's what we see, and the Seahawks get the win 24-23.
Yeah, I knew. I wrote it down. Brandon's going to pick a 1-point victory. I just know it. 24-20.
I thought about picking a tie. I thought about that too.
That would be miserable. No ties. But I thought it was going to be 21-20, but you went 24-23, and I'll take it.
Yeah.
I just like that I was right. Clinton, what's your prediction for this matchup?
I like that you were right too. One quick, I would call it fun, but it's not. The opposite of fun stat is that our Seahawks are 15-15 in our last 30 home games. Doing the math, that's almost 4 years, right? 8 games a year, sometimes 9. Sometimes you're in Germany, it's a home game, blah, blah, blah. But whatever, nearly 4 years, we are 500 at home. So not great. With that, look, I say I would never, and I'm about to do it. Rams 29, Seahawks 23. I just don't think we win this game. I hope I eat all the crow. I don't think I'm going to. So they need to prove to me that they can stop similar teams from doing very obvious things.
Yeah, they've earned this prediction, so I'm not gonna. I may shame you for your phone choices, but that's too easy. This one, I feel like our favorite team has earned this kind of a prediction against this team. It's
He's taking PNW prop stars off this week. He knows he doesn't have to face Adam and the shame that Adam will deliver to him for picking a loss to the Rams.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a prediction. I hope we win. We can win. There's no reason why we can't win. I mean, we beat the Falcons, who were winning before us, and they won again after we were gone. So, I mean, there's absolutely have the potential, but we've got to be right. We've got to play right. We've got to take advantage. But yeah, McVay just scares me every time I see that guy standing there with his team, whoever he has.
Yeah, one thing I'd love us to do, and Brandon, maybe you could chime in before we leave too, is the Falcons game feels like a bit of a anomaly at this point because prove it again, 4 out of 5. I'd like to make the other fan base / coaches / players nervous. Like at no point in that game last week did I feel like the Bills nerves were being racked. And then a couple of falls.
Gone. DK's the guy that makes people nervous.
Sure. I hear you. But also to your point though, playing right, not shooting ourselves in the foot. I mean, this is not an isolated incident, guys. And not just talking Connor Williams, but fumbles versus Detroit. Just like it is not isolated that we are right there with a team early in the game, hanging tough, within one score, moving the ball one way or another, and we completely implode.
Yeah.
Like in the NFL, you can get away with that maybe a couple times a year against bad opponents. And then once they're good to, mid to good, you're just putting yourself behind such a disadvantage and it's over. Right. So Brandon, is it simple like that? I know you said earlier, clean sheet from Geno. Is that, if we're just clean this game, are we hanging tough, do you think?
I think so, because I am not quite sure if the Rams are a good team or a bad team this year. We've seen
neither.
We've seen them beat the Vikings, which
we're bad or good.
Yeah.
We've seen them beat the Vikings, and they have been a good team, but they did it following the loss of their left tackle, which I think really allowed guys like Jared Verse to have a day against the Vikings, and it impacted that second half for sure. So I think that even with our offensive line being what it is, I think Cross can hold up. I think that Geno can be clean enough, and he has to play right. He has to not get stepped on. He has to not have a ball sail over his head. I feel like those are basic things I shouldn't have to say, but maybe we do now. I think a clean game is possible, and being at home, I think we will see some nervous Rams fans after, or at least at some point during this game.
There's reasons to believe the offense can be better. I mean, Connor Williams can't have the world's worst center game in the history of the National Football League twice in a row, right?
Right.
And then our most explosive, scary player was out the whole game. If he's back, then we have absolute reason the offense can be better, in spite of an offensive line that can't block for the run game, which is really frustrating. The defense, I want to see signs that they're just going to start everybody doing the right thing and people not doing bozo things to keep drives going every single time. I have to see that, or I'm going to start being frustrated with the coaching, I think.
100% with you for sure. Well, boys, I'm on a plane tomorrow. I'm going to Florida to go hang out with some of my friends and get some vitamin D and have a big. We're just gonna have like a big. It's kind of an NFL trip. It was centered around the idea that we got a bunch of NFL fans. We're going down there with a Cowboys fan, lifelong buddy of mine, going down there with a Packers fan, going down there with a Patriots fan and a Giants fan. And of course, I'm a Seahawks fan. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be at a little beach bar come 4:00 watching our game. And then of course the Packers Lions will be right next to us. My buddy Johnny Parmesan will be there as well. So I'll be in a good state. I'll be in a place to have some fun and in a relaxed state of mind. I'm hoping that good aura and that good Hawkra, guys, really pulls through and that we're just in a calm, fun state and that this is a fun game. We go get an unexpected W at this point, and then that's it. We are tied for first, likely going into the bye, and then anything can happen. That is such a different story than we won 2 out of the last 3. We're tied for first. The Rams are 3-5. Let's manifest that reality because I'm so into it.
I love that. I think with that, what if we say,
go enjoy that Declan. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.